we're going to look at the last 5 number 1 overall picks, starting with 2020. Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That was the year it was supposed to be Tua until they played college football.
Right.
And then, oh, wait, it's Joe Burrow. It's this guy nobody who has ever heard of.
Right.
Has one of the great all-time single seasons that anyone has ever had. It vaulted him all the way to number 1. He's been pretty good. What do we expect from Burrow this year?
Oof. You've been hearing me talk about the Bengals, and we were just talking about them last segment. Super Bowl. Burrow's on a mission. Burrow's definitely one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football. I mean, my expectations for Joe Burrow is quite honestly, like, I know we like to pick our preseason awards and, offense and player of the year and all that. I'm thinking about picking Joe Burrow as MVP of football this year. The only thing that's slowing me down a little bit is the Jamar Chase situation. That's what's annoying about it. But yes, I think between the way he looks, just everything you've heard out of Cincinnati, their talk, they continue to not bow down to Kansas City, right? The fact that they got to a Super Bowl and didn't win it, it just feels like the Bengals are one of those teams. We know this. Every year we have a team or 2 or 3 where we just go, they're on a mission this year. And the Bengals are one of those teams that I look at that's they're trying to win it all. And I think Burrow is going to be as good as he's ever been before. Just hope he stays healthy. That's
the key. That's
right.
the problem.
Right.
And look, I hate to even have the conversation because I don't want to jinx anyone. But 4 seasons in the NFL, twice season-ending injury in November. ACL as a rookie.
Right.
Last year with the wrist. Can he make it through all 17 games? That's really the key. If he can, sky's the limit. Because once they get to the postseason, he transforms into another guy, unlike anyone that I can remember who just like slips into this superhero mode and he relishes everything about it.
Right.
And there's no pressure, there's no stress, there's no anxiety. It's like, this is it. This is the time of year I live for. And he's fearless. And he's better in the postseason than he is in the regular season. But he's got to be healthy enough to play in the postseason.
Yeah, no, that's the big deal, right? I mean, the calf injury, he had to deal with that in a training camp. He got sick one year, right? The appendicitis. So it's been one thing after another. This is the first time since the rookie year that he's had a normal offseason.
Well, and rookie year wasn't normal because of the pandemic.
Because it was the pandemic and all of that. And I don't think this is a guy that's got an injury. I'm not ready to say like it's injury history or he's injury prone. Last year, okay, sure. His rookie year when he tore his ACL, I would blame that on the Bengals. The Bengals did him a disservice by putting him in the shotgun with a horrible offensive line and telling him to throw the ball every play. And he was getting the shit kicked out of him week in and week out. It was like, oh, yeah, really? He tore his ACL? No crap. I mean, he probably should have tore it 4 times before that. But, yeah, I'm expecting big things from Joe B.
Yeah, for me, the big key is health. If he's healthy, he will have a huge year, and the Bengals will be in the mix, and they are fearless when it comes to the Chiefs, and they are a team that can and has beaten Kansas City in the postseason. Hell, they had them on the ropes the second time.
Definitely.
And
Mahomes makes the jump throw for the touchdown, and of course the out of bounds late hit.
The Asai, Joseph Asai
exactly
hit.
Right.
Right after it felt like the Bengals were driving down for a game-winning field goal. Chris Jones kind of rose up and shut that down, and then the out of bounds hit. It's like this is gonna. Hey, the Bengals are gonna win. It's like, we're going to overtime. It's gonna be a classic, and then. Oh, wait, the Chiefs won.
It's over.
That's it. It's over. Okay, 2021 first overall pick, William, not Philip. Trevor Lawrence. First year was the Urban Meyer experience. Bah.
Yeah.
2022, hey, looks like he could be a top 5 franchise quarterback. Last year, they fell off. He fell off. What do you expect from him this year?
You're right. Last year fell off, but I don't think it's as much on Trevor Lawrence as maybe everybody in the sports world wants to put on Trevor Lawrence. Their offensive line sucked last year. Sorry, London and Liverpool. All right? It was horrible. They didn't run the ball well. They had injuries up front, right? So they did not protect. Then he got banged up, and it just kind of was a snowball effect of – and then him trying to do too much and make some plays, and he was a little careless with the football. I'm not going to say I feel like I do with Joe Burrow that it's MVP type year, but I think Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are definitely a team that is bothered by how they played last year. They realize they have more talent than that, and I know Trevor Lawrence realizes he can play better football. he looked good in his preseason play. The motion looks even better. Appropriate balls. He has superstar talent, and I think their O-line and the rest of the team they got around him is good enough to really let him show what he's all about this year. The Jaguars played a good amount of their players in the preseason. They played Trevor Lawrence the other night, 3 drives in the preseason game number 3. They're going to be ready week 1 against the Dolphins. I'm expecting a big year from the Jaguars. I am.
Trevor Lawrence at $55 million per year, new money average, tied with Joe Burrow and Jordan Love as the highest paid quarterbacks in football. And yeah, if the Jaguars didn't believe it, they wouldn't have done it. Now, when you break down the details, it's a long-term extension, and it's really not a spectacular, wow, eye-popping, but still, it's the deal. It's $55 million, new money average, and he's the guy without question for years to come in Jacksonville. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
It just, I think it is a lot, the team around him. I don't know what went haywire down the stretch. Again, this is like with the Bengals. Small market, not a lot of attention. They're the AFC version of the Eagles last year.
Right.
Fell apart down the stretch.
Right.
What the hell happened? High expectations and soul-searching on where it goes from here, and it's gotten the owner's attention, and we'll see. This kind of feels like maybe it could be a tough year for Doug Peterson if he doesn't turn it around and make it more like 2022.
I think so. I mean, the talent's there to where they a collapse like we saw last year is not acceptable. I think they understand that, and I think everybody, listen, we all know Houston in the AFC South. Okay, they're the leaders. We got that. But I do feel like everybody is kind of like Sharpie pen putting the Houston in there like automatically. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will have something to say about this. Doug Peterson, he's won a Super Bowl. This quarterback's real. They got some speed at receiver. They got a pretty good running back. Their D's got some talent. Right? They're pretty well coached on that side of the ball. So I do think they'll have something to say here. And I think I look at them as a playoff caliber football team. I do look at them that way for sure.
Jaguars had the number 1 overall pick back-to-back years because of the Urban Meyer experience in 2021. But the cupboard was bare at quarterback. Not that they would have taken one in 22, but they could have traded out of that spot and it would have been somebody else. But Trayvon Walker, they picked him over Aiden Hutchinson. 10 sacks last year for Trayvon Walker, some signs that maybe he's moving toward. The problem with this is the Mario Williams effect. Number 1 overall pick, pass rusher. Unless you're getting 3 sacks a game, it's going to be hard to say, wow, that guy's living up to the billing as the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're right. Mario Williams is that, and you're always like, man, he's a really awesome football player. Okay, yeah, he doesn't get 15 sacks a year. I understand that, but wow, I'd like him on my football team. You feel the same way about Trayvon Walker. What stinks for him is, yes, subpar rookie year, and what's the other thing that stinks for him? The guy that was chosen right behind him plays the same position and is an all-pro caliber defensive end in Aiden Hutchinson. So that puts more pressure on the Trayvon Walker situation, right? Because, we picked you first and you're not as good as him. But we saw a lot of signs last year. The physical tools are there. They got a chance to have a really special duo, I think. And when you watch Jacksonville games, the announcers, right, Bucky Brooks doing their games, he says that you get the sense that they think Trayvon Walker's doing the right things, going to turn the corner here and become even more dominant. So we'll see where that goes. But, hey, they got some ballers on their defense. They definitely do. When you talk about him, Eric Armstead, and Josh Allen on the other side, 3 out of your 4 D linemen are a problem, and hopefully they can take advantage of that.
We had like 15 straight offensive players to start the draft this year. Yeah. That year with Trayvon Walker, it was 5 for 5 defensive players out of the gates. Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stingley Jr., Sauce Gardner, and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Woo, man, that's impressive. And everybody's been pretty damn good, too.
Sauce is the 2-time All-Pro that seems to already be in position to have a bust in Canton. For the rest of them, Hutchinson looks like he could be great, too. And he's with a Lions team that's rising at the right time. And all those – I mean, yeah, maybe the Jaguars should have taken him, but, man, it's such a much better story with him on the Lions. Like, he gets off the exit that used to pass on the way to school. I mean, just everything about him being back in Detroit makes a ton of sense. All right. Bryce Young, 2023.
Yeah.
It did not go well last year for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. They were very excited by his performance on Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. Dave Canales said he had a hell of a day, led 1 drive, touchdown pass. I think he was like 7 for 9 or something like that.
Yep.
But last year was 2-15 disaster. Was it coaching? Is it Bryce Young? Is it the owner should have stayed out of it and let him take C.J. Stroud? I mean, regardless, what do we expect for Young this year?
Well, I do. We hit on this a lot during the offseason, especially when I was doing my quarterback rankings. I mean, you go back and watch him last year, and it's not good. And it's not good to the point where he looked overwhelmed at points, where you were just like, oh, he doesn't even look comfortable in any situation. He's just trying to survive a game here. I don't think that'll be the case here this year. I think the first thing that Dave Canales and company did in Carolina was they got bigger up front. So now that he's going to be able to at least feel comfortable about, hey, I'm a smaller quarterback, but I'm protected pretty well. They had good tackles to begin with. Now they're good in the interior part. I think that's a positive. Canales is going to try to run the ball better, right? I think we see a better Bryce Young. I liked what I saw the other day against Buffalo. Definitely knew where he was going with the football, right? Had good control. But my big thing with Bryce Young and what I said at the time when he came out of the draft, yes, he can be good. Yes, he's got leadership and knows how to play the position. But what is the redeeming physical trait that I'm supposed to jump on? It's for NFL arm, it's average. His speed is not, he doesn't play with size. So I got to see the formula in which they're going to use to make him look good. I guess so that's my thing. Like, I know it'll be better, but I still got questions, I guess is what I'm saying.
I remember when he was drafted, Peter King told a story about how the Panthers.
Oh, and they looked at a play.
It was some play from when he got thrown
That's when, that's to me, it tells me you're searching
Alabama,
for crap.
Or no, it was Alabama. It was a game as a freshman. He's with Alabama, and he made some check that made the clouds part and the angels sang. And this is our guy. And I just remember thinking when I read that.
That's when I hear
this is just kind of weird.
They're making up crap to try to like a guy. That's
because the owner wanted him,
right?
And even all the revisionist history about look, the vibe has always been this is the guy the owner wanted, and everybody else knew it, so they knew it was in their best interest to want him to, even if C.J. Stroud was a better pick. And I think that's going to haunt Bryce Young until he becomes as good as C.J. Stroud, if that ever happens. All right, this year. The guy that has yet to play in an NFL regular season game, but we both believe is going to be among one of the best to have ever done it, Caleb Williams. What do you expect out of him?
Well, when you say his name, I feel like Mahomes or Josh Allen right away. I just want to be like because it's can't miss TV. That's what I can't wait to watch. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's more Mahomesy than Mahomes was coming out of college. Because he's had the ability to watch Mahomes and develop some of these traits at a younger age, right? Did you want to say something there?
No, and we know it's coming.
Right.
It's not with Mahomes. It was a surprise.
Right.
Caleb Williams was like, sit back.
Right.
Here we go.
Right. And you're like, wow, he's got some things in his arsenal as a rookie that maybe Mahomes didn't even have yet. But of course, that's the effect. I see special here across the board. I know that. And I think, in this game here, the Cincinnati game, I think one of the most encouraging things of the preseason was they stalled on offense. They couldn't do anything for 2 or 3 drives. He's careless with the ball. He's too much of a playmaker. He didn't even flirt with danger at all, really, the whole preseason. And to me, that was a misconception of him altogether just because of a Saturday night game against Notre Dame. Everyone's like, he is careless with the ball. He threw 2 more interceptions the whole year. He threw 3 of them that night. I think if there's anybody, and I know C.J. Stroud in that story is high expectations, but if there's anybody and a team that could maybe flirt with, hey, we're doing what the Texans and C.J. Stroud did, I think Caleb Williams and that crew there with that team can do that this year.
The problem is, and we talked about this not long ago, tougher draw in that division in the NFC North than what C.J. Stroud had.
NFC South.
Yeah. But we get a little apples to apples.
We do.
Week 2, NBC and Peacock.
Woo.
Bears at Texans. A year ago, if you would have told me that week 2 of the 2024 season, the NBC Peacock game would be Bears at Texans, it would be like, good Lord.
We have fallen off.
What happened?
Florio pissed off Roger Goodell and he said, no more games for you guys.
That's not funny. But yeah, I mean, Bears Texans, that's must-see TV, especially early on because it's our first glimpse nationally of Caleb Williams. And C.J. Stroud is still a guy that we haven't seen much of because they were tucked into that 1 o'clock Eastern time window all of last year until Week 18 when they moved him to Saturday night against the Colts for the AFC South Championship.
No, I think that's the big thing, right? I mean, we know, hey, it's a rookie quarterback in Chicago, and they ended off the year on a strong note, and they got a lot of things to go, ooh, they could be a player here, right? The division's hard. We know that. Yeah, Houston is can they handle the expectations? And everybody expects them to be good. And C.J. Stroud was all over the world in the offseason and kind of parading around. He was doing draft rankings. In fact, I think he made like Caleb Williams like his 4th or 5th quarterback on the board. I bet you Caleb Williams kind of knows that kind of stuff, right? So those are the things I think everybody questions about Houston. It's not the talent. It's just whether they can handle the bullseye and the pressure of the expectations.
The NFL has risen to prominence over the past really 60 years.
Yeah.
And through that period of time, there have been a handful of seasons, if that many, where the Bears have been, oh, shit, great.
Right.
Can you imagine if the Bears can become a team? We've been to Chicago. When we were there 5 years ago for the first game of the regular season, it felt like Pittsburgh and New York mashed together.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, why don't they have a better football team here? Like, this place oozes football. The stadium oozes football. The fans, and I know they have one Super Bowl trophy, and there's plenty of teams that would love to have one. But it almost they're almost taunted by that memory from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, when are we ever going to be good again?
And they left a bad taste in their mouth because they think they should have got more than one during that. Right.
More.
Right.
The Richard Dent quote. We won one because of Mike Ditka, and we won one because of Mike Ditka.
Yeah,
and they fell off fairly quickly. But if they could be a perennial high-end contender, I just think that's good for the NFL. I think that helps the NFL become if it can be even bigger in the United States, because then Chicago becomes saturated, and it's 85 every year if this Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore thing works.
I would love to see it. It's one of my favorite.
Not me, not in the NFC North.
Well, I hear you.
Go to a different division.
But it's one of those old school traditional franchises that I'm with you. I like when they're good. I like when the city is behind them. They have one of the best fan bases in the sport. I love Soldier Field late in the year in meaningful football games. Like, I will be pissed at them if they move or go to some dome. The Bears don't play in domes, okay? All right? I mean, Hurricane Ditka doesn't like a dome. Neither did Dick Butkus or whoever else. Like, come on. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of rooting for the Bears in that story a little bit.
Think of that great highlight from the NFC Championship in '85 against the Rams, and the snow is just kind of wafting down.
Right, and Wilbur Marshall's picking up the
getting the ball and
right,
spinning around, and it's
slow
I mean, there's
a lot of great. The Fog Bowl, right?
That wasn't great if you were trying to watch the freaking game.
You're right.
I remember sitting there.
It was great,
pre-high def with a TV that's like, why are we even watching this?
Yeah, I can remember watching it too. But, yeah, then they had the NFC Championship game against the 49ers in '88 at home, had a great look. It is a special place. To me, it's one of the pantheons of NFL football when I think of the Bears and that. And, yeah, it is amazing they haven't, been to a Super Bowl more.
Well, they could become the new America's team. And remember, in '85, en route to being the '85 Bears, they won in Dallas like 44-0.
Yes.
Cover of Sports Illustrated. The Cowboys are down. The Bears are up. Well, maybe the Bears are up and the Cowboys.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/fantasymillion for additional details. What are you waiting for?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.